Sheffield's incineration plant was opened in 1975 and is the principal means of disposing of municipal waste in Sheffield and an integral part of Sheffield's district heating network. In 1988, there was a need to extend the existing district heating network fed from the Bernard Road incineration plant. In order to do this, Sheffield City Council initiated the formation of an independent company to expand the district heating network within Sheffield city centre. That company being Sheffield Heat and Power. Since that time, Sheffield City Council's Cleansing Services Department and Sheffield Heat and Power have continued to work together in partnership to provide an environmental solution to an everyday problem by utilising a renewable resource, being the city's waste, to supply heat and hot water to city centre buildings, benefiting both consumers and the general public alike through the reduction in polluting emissions, in addition to conserving precious fossil fuels. This is the Sheffield Municipal Incineration Plant at Bernard Road, a familiar sight to those entering and leaving Sheffield along the Parkway, the city's main arterial connection to the country's motorway network. Passengers on Supertram also get an unobstructed view of the incinerator, but not many realise its full significance in the ecological life of Sheffield. Whereas most communities send their rubbish to landfill, Sheffield incinerates of its domestic waste. Over 130,000 tonnes each year, plus an additional 10,000 tonnes of commercial waste. The energy from waste process provides many environmental benefits. The ash that is left after incineration takes up only 10% of the space of the original rubbish, greatly reducing the need for landfill sites, thereby reducing the problem of methane production. Two distinct environmental benefits. What is even more environmentally significant is the fact that the energy recovered by the boilers is used to drive two processes. One being the steam turbine for electricity, and the other to provide heat for Sheffield Heat and Power's district heating consumers. An efficient 6.8 megawatt steam turbine meets the on-site demand of approximately 2 megawatts, with the excess power being exported to local electricity companies. Energy from incineration is also harnessed and used to heat water up to 105 degrees centigrade before it is piped into Sheffield city centre through 36 kilometres of highly efficient, pre-insulated pipework. Smaller connecting pipes run from the main arterial network into consumers' buildings, where the heat is transferred through a stainless steel heat exchanger into their heating and hot water systems. It is used to heat most of Sheffield's major buildings. Ponds Forge International Leisure Centre, both universities, the Crucible and Lyceum Theatres, Town Hall, Central Library, the Workstation and the Showroom Cinemas, Western Park Hospital, and over 3,000 domestic dwellings in the Norfolk Park, Park Hill and Hyde Park Walk and Terrace areas. All heated by harnessing the energy from burning rubbish. The network is supported by standby boilers to meet any peak heating demand and cover for periods of incinerator maintenance that can be switched on at a moment's notice to ensure heat reaches the consumers. By utilising the heat generated from burning refuse, there is an enormous reduction in the need for fossil fuels and, very importantly, it prevents over 40,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide, which is a principal greenhouse gas, from being released into the atmosphere each year. It is no surprise, therefore, that the scheme is known as green heat. Back to the incinerator. The Bernard Road incineration plant began life in 1975 and has been the principal means of Sheffield's waste disposal ever since. It is built on a site of 3 acres, dominated by a 75-metre high chimney. In 1975, the incinerator was state-of-the-art and met the existing emission standards. But as time went on, technology continued to improve and more stringent emission standards were set. The Environmental Protection Act 1990 required that the emissions from all municipal incinerators be improved to meet a European Community Directive, with the British government introducing a system of authorisation through the Environment Agency. The new stricter standards came into force on the 1st of December 1996. So in order to continue to operate, certain changes had to be made to the incineration plant itself. Sheffield City Council's Cleansing Services Department, in collaboration with Sheffield Heat and Power, undertook a study which concluded that the existing plant was basically sound, but that a number of alterations to the plant and the equipment would be required, principally in the way the flue gases were treated. Now let us take a closer look at just how this energy from waste scheme actually works. Domestic and trade waste is collected from over 200,000 properties in Sheffield. The waste is brought to the incinerator by refuse collection vehicles and is tipped into storage bunkers before being lifted onto two conveyors. The whole plant operates in two separated process lines in order to permit maintenance without having to totally close the facility. These conveyors feed two incineration units, where the refuse is burned at extremely high temperatures, above 850 degrees centigrade. The heat produced from burning the waste is converted into steam by the boilers. This steam then passes through heat exchangers, where it heats up the water, which is pumped around the district heating network in Sheffield city centre and Norfolk Park, Park Hill and Hyde Park Walk and Terrace housing estates. The hot gases from the incineration units were previously channeled through two electrostatic precipitators to remove dust. And it is in this area that the bulk of the upgrading work took place. The previous precipitators could not be upgraded to meet new dust removal requirements, being replaced by more efficient bag filters, which, as well as removing dust from the flue gases, reduced the concentration of potentially harmful substances within the gases, resulting in an improvement in local air quality. This new flue gas treatment equipment comprises of essentially three visible components. Filter houses, which accommodate a series of filters to collect dust and drastically reduce the levels of potentially harmful substances from the flue gas. Silos for the storage of lime and activated carbon, which are used to neutralize acidic gases in the flue gas and for the storing of materials collected from the filters. Economizers were introduced, which provided the ability to extract even more energy from the process to provide additional heat recovery. In addition, the opportunity was taken to upgrade some other aspects of the process, such as the ash handling systems and the magnetic separators, which separate out ferrous metal. The incineration units have undergone modifications in order to ensure better combustion conditions, and each incineration unit has auxiliary burners. These burners are only used intermittently, but ensure a minimum temperature of 850 degrees centigrade is maintained in the incineration unit to reduce the production of pollutants. Flue gas is also recirculated back through the incineration units to reduce the levels of nitrous oxide. On the Bernard Road incineration site, there is also a clinical waste incinerator, which was also subject to modifications in conjunction with the upgrade works. Clinical waste is collected from hospitals and local health authorities. A process control system has also been introduced in the main incinerator to make use of the latest computer technology. The benefits of this substantial capital investment are many. The plant has been modernised to better serve the city's waste disposal requirements and more efficiently meet the needs of the district heating scheme. The quality of emissions to the atmosphere has been improved, contributing to local, national and European air quality goals. The site is now virtually energy self-sufficient, with the installation of a highly efficient steam turbine, reducing the further need for fossil fuel power and its related emissions. The Sheffield incinerator is now able to operate comfortably within the stringent limits set by the European Community Directive, and can continue to provide economical, efficient and environmentally friendly heat for the local community for many years to come.